Hello and welcome everybody to the Fit to Fat to Fit Experience podcast. I'm your host, Drew Manning.
And I'm your co-host, Lynn Manning.
And today we have an awesome show that we have for you with Kevin Curry from fitmencook.com. It's going to be such a great episode. We'll get into the details of what we're going to talk about. But first, our show sponsor, questnutrition.com, you guys. We couldn't be happier with Quest Nutrition as our show sponsor. Why? Because we already use their product and we actually love their product.
And it's so appropriate too, because Kevin Curry actually uses their products as well. He travels around with them sometimes to their events. He loves their products as much as we do.
Exactly. And it's appropriate also because listening to this episode, you're guaranteed to be hungry afterwards. So it's a perfect time for a Quest bar. The biggest thing that we love about them is the convenience and the taste, right? They're so convenient. You can bring them with you anywhere when you travel, when you're taking your kids to school. You know, if you're a man or a woman, it's so convenient, but also it's tasty. Like they're chocolate chip cookie dough, cookies and cream, mint chocolate, white chocolate, raspberry, coconut cashew, peanut butter and jelly. There's so many different flavors and they all taste good, and their macronutrient split is great, right? Low net carbs, 20 grams of high quality protein. And we love that there's not a lot of junk ingredients in them. And so that's why we love Quest Nutrition.
Yeah,
so
and one of the way I get around not putting chips in my daughter's school lunch, because she wants to be like all of her friends, is that I can use the protein chips, and she loves them. I'll put those in her lunch instead.
Yeah, and they don't know any difference either. They're like, oh, these are chips, but they're, protein chips.
Yeah, they're healthy and they're actually delicious.
They taste good. So thank you to Quest Nutrition for sponsoring the show. Okay, our episode today with Kevin Curry, you guys, we cover a lot of different topics with him. Who he is, for those of you who don't know who he is. We talk about his fitness routine. We talk about, his nutrition routine as well. We even talk about his experience in Ecuador as a hip-hop instructor, which is so funny. You guys are going to love this episode and get to know him a little bit better, his brand, and how his brand can help you out on living this healthy lifestyle.
And one of my favorite things that he talks about in this episode is about making healthy eating affordable, his tips and viewpoints on that. It's great.
So let's go hang out with Kevin, you guys. All right, everybody, welcome to the Fit to Fat to Fit Experience. We are here with the amazing Kevin Curry from fitmencook.com. And for those of you who don't know who Kevin Curry is, which, by the way, Kevin, do most people know you as like the Fitman Cook guy, or do they actually know you're Kevin Curry, like your name?
No, they actually call me that whole fit cook guy. I've been called that fit chef guy. It's very rarely Kevin.
Exactly.
It's very rarely that.
And I totally get that too, because they're like, who's Drew Manning?
You're
and I'm like, oh.
Guy.
I'm like, yeah, some people say fit to fat. I'm like, there was a too fit at the end there that you missed out.
Ending part, right?
Exactly. So
yeah, I feel a little sheepish because Drew is like, don't forget that we're going to be recording, with Kevin. I'm like, oh yeah, Kevin Cook. And he's like, you mean Kevin Curry from Fitman Cook? And I was like,
I love it.
Yeah.
Kevin Cook, Fitman Curry,
Fitman Cook. I fit the fit guy.
So really quick, for those of you who don't know who Kevin Curry is, he's a successful online entrepreneur, a very successful YouTube channel. We can actually call him a YouTube celebrity. Over 175,000 subscribers on YouTube, over 1 million followers on Instagram, an author of a book, No Cheats Needed, and very successful online entrepreneur, YouTube celebrity. We're so grateful to have him on. Now, Kevin, the first question I want to get into, man, because my show, the Fit to Fat to Fit Experience, is kind of a unique twist on fitness. And I want to talk about, what I learned from my Fit to Fat to Fit journey, but also have people on that have a similar experience. And you have your own Fit to Fat to Fit experience. Could you tell us about, you didn't gain the weight on purpose, but you were overweight at a point in time, and I kind of want to talk about that story of your past and kind of what you learned from it and where you are now.
Absolutely. Well, first off, thanks so much just for having me. And it's so funny and really, it's a great moment for me because I remember where I was at that time when I was really, really low and I was overweight. And I actually saw you on TV and they were talking about you. And I said, yeah, that guy's ripped. What is he eating? And then I heard that you want to get fat, and I was like, no. So it's
that
great
is
to
funny.
kind of have things to kind of come like full circle and be doing something within this industry and talking to people like you who I truly admired from the very get-go. So thanks so much for having me. So my fit to fat, actually, it's fat to fit.
I gotcha.
First. I just went through these periods of like weight cycling in which I would be like really skinny and then overweight, skinny and overweight. And what that would just mean was just like, I just could not master the whole diet piece. And I would hire a personal trainer and they would help me lose weight. And then I'm from the South, man. So I just love food. I love the way food tastes. I love the texture of it. I love everything about food. So I get like a piece of good food and I'm just like, oh my God. And all of a sudden the weight would just come right back again. And so it got to a point where I just got really tired of it. And also I had a wake up call. My doctor was saying, that I had higher blood pressure than normal. And then this was back in the day before Facebook added all those different controls, but somebody tagged me in this Facebook photo from a wedding. And I went online to go look at the photo and I was like, who is this person they just tagged in this photo? It can't be me. And it was me. And I had to untag myself immediately. But that was a wake up call to say, hey, you know what? Take a critical look at my health. So I went to a personal trainer and they were going to charge me like a whole lot of money. And I said, you know what? If he can figure it out, then maybe so can I. So I went to Half Price Books and bought every single book they had there about nutrition and whatnot. And then I just began just to like devour the content. And then I just went into the kitchen with no like training at all and just started to experiment. So I started up my blog in this way. I got to be honest. It was not necessarily to help everybody else. It was to help me. I had this bright idea that I was going to crowdsource my diet, right? So I said, all right, if I post every single meal that I'm eating online, then people like Drew out there will see it and they'll tell me, hey, Kev, man, stop eating that, eat more of this.
Yeah.
But the reverse happened, and I had no idea that there were so many people out there just like me who were hungry for different and new and fresh ideas. I put all the macros, all the steps out there, and people love the content. And I didn't know that before all that content was gated. And so I was able to transform my physique, and then the blog began to take off. And then I said, you know what, this passion of mine to be healthy and fit has become something much larger. And I really want to continue it to show people that, that you can lose the weight, but it starts in the kitchen. And that it's easy, healthy, practical, and it tastes good.
That's what I love about you, man. And that's right in line with our philosophy as well. It does. If you want to see results, it comes mostly from the nutrition. And I think you are very similar to a lot of Americans that have the exercise part down, right? We can do P90X, we can go to the gym, do some bench press, do some curls. But the tough part is in the kitchen. Because like you said, a lot of us love food. And not only because it tastes good, but because of the experience. We eat our emotions. Lynn, who's a foodie over here.
I'm with you on that. And the thing for me has always been food as well, because there's not a ton of people that focus on healthy food that also tastes good. And of course, my motto has always been, it's not nutritious if it doesn't get eaten. And I'm not going to eat it just because it's healthy, And so,
carrot stick.
every time I'm on Instagram though, and I'm scrolling through, I always stop at your food and I drool a little bit on my screen. And I just think, I wish this food could come through my
I know.
phone.
I wish you, Kevin, could just be in our kitchen all the time, dude. And we could just
in with us.
We could push play.
Kevin, just move in with us.
Touche, man. Hey, so it's the reason I ask about your fat to fit experience, or whatever you want to call it, is because I feel like people that have been down that road where they've been overweight, they've struggled, I feel like they have a different perception on people that struggle and people that are overweight. Would you say that having this experience, you look on people that are obese differently than, say, someone who's been in shape their whole life? And if so, how so?
Absolutely. One really cool experience that I had was I was able to go to this conference, and it was a conference just for trainers, and they asked me to come, and they asked me to present on Fit Man Cook, but also the reason why I quote unquote failed with a trainer. And I listened to their conversations, and one of the main things that they were talking about, I always tell my clients, it's just portion control. Well, just stop eating. You got to just stop eating. And I had to tell him, I was like, have you ever been fat before? Have you ever been overweight?
Yeah.
He's like, no, I play sports. I play this. I said, all right, well then just listen to me for a second. You don't understand the actual addiction of food. And there's something psychological there as well. And so I do see it as like one of the, like the biggest, epidemics of our times. And so, yes, there's a lot of like sympathy there. Now, even though there's actually sympathy, just because I actually made it out, I know that it is possible. So there is some responsibility the people have to actually have. But I know it's possible, but it is not just a cookie cutter response.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that. And that's one of the things I struggled with before I did Fit to Fat to Fit was, why is it so hard just to stop drinking soda? Like, it can't be that hard. Just don't do it, man. Like, why is it so hard? Until I went through it and then tried to get off of it, and it was absolute hell. One of the hardest things I went through during my Fit to Fat to Fit journey was trying to get off of the Cinnamon Toast Crunch and the Mountain Dew. And I finally realized this is so much more of an emotional connection than I ever imagined. And so I feel like it gave me a whole new understanding, a better perspective, and people that have been overweight understand that side of it, the psychological side, where someone who's been in shape their whole life, not saying they can't understand, but I'm saying a lot of people struggle with that understanding. And when someone that's overweight is trying to lose weight and they feel like their trainer doesn't understand, I feel like it's hard for them to trust them, relate to them, and have that motivation to continue on their journey, So
because they feel deflated by that, because it's almost like you're minimizing it because they don't understand.
Yeah.
Excellent point.
One of the philosophies or quotes I love is, which has helped me as a trainer, is, nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. And so you could have all the knowledge in the world as a trainer of knowing the science behind helping people lose weight, but if the person doesn't feel like you care about them, then it doesn't matter how much you know. And so that's one of the philosophies I try and get across to other trainers, not saying they have to do a Fit to Fat to Fit experience, but if they can live by that, letting the person know that you actually care about them, and that'll help you become more relatable.
Absolutely.
But anyways,
yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah, man, thanks for sharing your story about that. And so has your I thought this was interesting because you having been overweight and now you're fit, your motivation at one point in time, if I remember correctly, reading about your story, your whole goal was to get a six pack and be in what's the term, fitness model shape, for a photo shoot, but then after you got fit, that's not your motivation, or that's not your goal nowadays. How has that changed over the years, your perception of, quote unquote being fit?
Like, you're spot on with that. Like when I sometimes I just scroll back through some of my photos and my old blog on Tumblr just to kind of read the stuff. And I remember one of my earlier posts was about, and I had to go back and change it because it really bothered me. And it was my profile for Google Plus, and it was also for Tumblr. And it was about fit men cook, building the physique or something of your dreams and whatnot. And it bothered me that I wrote that, so long ago, but that's the way that I felt, because I think that when people think about being fit, they look at it in terms of like what's presented to them, and what's presented to them. At the time for me, it was people like you. So I was like, yeah, I want to look just like Drew. I'm eating what he eats. That's all I'm going to eat. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so absolutely, I went on so many of these like bodybuilding diets, which are not bad, and I was able to lose the weight and get cut up and shredded up and whatnot for the industry, and then it dawned on me one time, and I made a post about this. I said, I'm sitting here, not really enjoying the food that I would really want to eat, because there's so much more food out there, and I'm preparing for this photo shoot that's never even going to come.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to be in a bodybuilding competition. I'm not even going to do all these things. So I had to look at what was the real motivation behind what got me to be fit, right? And that was my doctor's note, and also I wanted to feel better about myself. So I don't have to look like a cover model for those two things to happen.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I think a lot of people initially, of course, when they decide to change their lifestyle, initially they usually grasp for some type of goal that is physical. The women think the same thing, like, oh, I want to be a size 4. And the guys are like, I want a 6-pack abs. The thing is those goals never push you long term. I always try to work with clients to explain to them it's okay that you want that. And again, I usually say, let's peel back the onion. Like, the layer behind that is you want to feel better about you. Right. It's not that you want to be a size 4. If you were a size 12 and you felt amazing about yourself, you wouldn't care.
Correct.
But a lot of times we need to just redirect that focus. And I'm glad that you point that out to your followers, and you focus more on just like healthy eating, enjoying that experience, putting nutritious things into your body, because that's something that can sustain long term, versus short.
That's the long term happiness right there. You're spot on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think this is really interesting about your brand, man, is that you speak Spanish, which is so unique in the industry. Here you are, you live in Texas, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there's a lot of people that speak Spanish.
Yeah.
What's your connection to the Hispanic community? You don't look Hispanic, bro. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I actually get Dominican like all the time. No.
Oh, okay.
When I was in college, I had this idea, that I wanted just to delay the real world. So I turned down the offer in corporate America, and I went abroad to live in Ecuador, and I loved it. And I did so many things when I was over there. I went and I worked inside the restaurant. I taught hip hop dance classes, and the coolest thing about
I didn't know that.
No way.
That is awesome, man.
And this is I was the biggest scam artist ever, because I could not dance at all, but because I was black and from America, they believed me. They would do anything that I would say. So you got people now still in Ecuador walking around probably doing these crazy hip hop dance moves because I told them that.
You're like teaching them the Macarena, and you're like, this is a very intense dance.
Finding the hips sometimes. This is the same that in the US. Right? Like this. Just move your shoulders. So
that is the funniest thing I've ever heard, man. That is.
I freaking love it.
Because of that. But that's where I actually learned Spanish. I studied it in college and also high school, but when I went abroad to live and do some like work, it just kind of came together. And so when I came back, my perspective had totally changed. And I went to go work in Mexico. I worked for a House of Representatives for a little while. And then I had to go back to the quote unquote like real world. And so I went back to corporate America and did some product abroad in like consulting. And then it was just something that was always, really like, like I felt connected to. And so when and I hadn't spoken Spanish in like forever. So one day, a few years ago, and this is when nobody was actually doing Spanish and also English, I made this comment and I said, hey, you know what? I wish someone was here to enjoy this meal with me. But I said that in Spanish. And I had a flood of people who spoke Spanish just coming and say, oh my God, like, do you speak Spanish? And so I just tried it out and started to do everything in Spanish and also English. And it's just been great. And I also like it as well because the prevalence of like diabetes and heart disease we have much higher rates in the Black and brown communities. And so it's really important to me that the content that I am sharing out is actually reaching those like communities who are really like in need. And the Spanish speaking community is one as well. I've gotten so many emails and comments saying, hey, you know what? Thanks so much for your videos because now I can show them to my mom. And my mom actually makes your recipes because she doesn't speak any English. So it's great to hear those types of stories to show how just like here in Texas, just making up a quick chili, somebody in Mexico is making it as well. So pretty awesome.
I love that because didn't Mexico pass us as far as the most
I think Mexico is now the number one obese nation in the world, surpassed the USA. Yeah. So now we're in second place.
All right, we're in second place.
Yeah,
I love that. I feel about that, but
no, I love that you're like you said. I love that you're reaching out to those that need it most.
Yeah, I think that's so cool, man. And honestly, you probably look back on your days in Ecuador or Mexico and you have no regrets going to a third world country and just kind of, even though you're teaching hip hop classes, not even being a real instructor, you probably have no regrets. And I can relate to that because I went to Brazil back in 2000 to 2002 and had an amazing experience down in a third world country. I wish every young American could go to a third world country to see what life is like outside of the United States. We live in this bubble and we take so many things for granted and you appreciate so much more of what you have once you're out of that environment. And so I think I wish every high school kid that's spoiled in this country could go, serve like a mission of some type in a third world country to kind of experience life and what it's like. But I think that's so cool and it's so unique, something you bring to the table where you speak Spanish and you can reach those communities and teach them about health and fitness. And I think that's really powerful, man. So I have a lot of respect for you.
I appreciate that. And the coolest thing is that, when I first started doing it, there weren't, like any like accounts out there doing it at the time. And I got like a lot of, surprisingly, a lot of flack from some people saying that, that I was doing too much. And it's funny now, fast forward.
Stop helping so many people. This is ridiculous.
You're doing too much.
Jeez.
And those same people now are doing the same thing. And it's great too, because when brands come to like work with me, you know, the first thing that we say to them, I was like, all right, the content has to be bilingual though. And they're like, okay, we'll deal.
Okay.
Awesome.
So it's great to see the landscape changing and people like embracing that.
Exactly, man. So I have kind of a unique question for you, Kevin. And I know you did a video on this where you kind of took people through a day in the life of kind of what you go through.
Yeah.
I was wondering if you could kind of summarize that for us and maybe see how it's changed since you made that video. What a typical day looks like for you, maybe as far as food goes, and like maybe your current goals. And like any kind of routines, like if you do meditation or if you wake up at a certain time, and if you have a production schedule. I know this is a kind of complex question, but just I want people to be able to get to know you and see exactly kind of what you go through on a day-to-day basis, because they see your videos, but it would be cool to kind of see what goes on behind the scenes as far as you, the real person, Kevin Curry, what he goes through on a typical day.
Yeah, so I'll try to summarize that. So the first thing we should know is that I make all my videos, and that's something that I'm really trying to transition very, very, very soon. I love the creative process, but it just takes up a lot of time, and so when it comes time between like I can't experiment as much like in the kitchen because the video editing process, then I know it's now time for a change. And so I'm looking to actually transition that role. So I get up every morning about 6:30, go and like walk the dog, get ready for the day. And I'm usually just checking email and just trying to clear out the inbox. And then from that, I have breakfast. I go to the gym with my workout partner. And that's my only kind of like me time for the day. Yeah. And then when I get back from the gym, it's usually I got to hop on some conference calls if I have them, which I generally do. And then I will set like my schedule from like maybe from 2 to 6 p.m. for filming. The thing about my videos too is that I'm not a photographer. I don't have any background in like video editing and lighting, so I can only shoot during like daylight. So I have a very small window. So summers are great because it extends my actual work period. Winters are super bad because I literally only have about 3 hours to actually film times. And one recipe video, even though it's so let's say for like a 20-minute meal, it could take maybe 2 hours just to film.
Oh man, that's tough.
Just because the setup and you've got to, place things. It has to look appetizing, and so you've got to do like beauty shots and whatnot. And 2 hours is actually pretty generous. Usually it takes about 3 to 4 hours. And then from that, I've got to do my voiceover, and voiceover takes about 30 minutes or so. And then my intros. My intros are actually pretty short and sweet now, so I can get those done too within about 30 minutes. And then the video editing process is what takes up the majority of my time. So one 15-second video, that probably equates to, in terms of video editing, equates to about 3 hours worth of work. On 1 minute video equates to about 5 hours worth of work, because you also got to put in the subtitles and the captions and things like that, plus the transitions, and then edit it so that the colors are actually okay and not muted. And then after that, I've got to set up the blog post because it's got to be in English. So I've been able now to get someone onto my team that actually helps out with translation. So I will send those to her so I can just kind of streamline that process and shave off at least 2 hours of my time, and then get the blog post ready and then put everything together and then blast it out in social media. So one recipe video is generally at least about 12 hours worth of work. At least.
Oh my gosh! People better appreciate these recipe videos.
If you're listening, you better appreciate. Seriously, man, that's so much work, and so people don't see that. People don't see what goes on behind the scenes and how much work you put into this. And I actually had no idea you were your own team. I thought you had a full crew of people doing editing, doing the lighting, and doing the voiceovers, and helping you with all of that. I had no idea it was just you. So even more respect to you, man, because I understand a little bit of how hard that is and how time consuming that is. So I can only imagine. One other quick question, and then I know Lynn has some questions. She's like looking at me like, is it my turn?
I know.
So
just like hog the whole time.
I'm just gonna ask a specific question about your day. Can you give people what a typical pre-workout meal looks like and a post-workout meal looks like for you on a typical day, just to give my followers like, okay, this is what Kevin Curry eats pre-workout and post-workout.
Sure. I'll give you two. So in my early days, one of my favorite ones was an Ezekiel tortilla wrap with some nut butter, cottage cheese, and some berries. And then I'd have like a little protein shake. And the protein shake was always an isolate whey protein with 0 grams carbs, 0 grams sugar, 0 grams fat. So it was very lean, and I could digest it pretty quickly before the workout. But the complex carbs inside the tortilla and then the fat would actually give me lasting energy to really go pretty long in the workout. Today it's kind of transitioned just because I do like a lot more like meal prep stuff. So, my typical pre-workout meal is actually in the morning time, but I'll give you one in case you're not doing, in case I didn't do that. It would be like a chicken breast with some quinoa or some brown rice. And of course you need to doctor up your quinoa and brown rice, y'all. Please don't go out there and eat just steamed brown rice and just think that's okay. No, you can put some flavor in there, put some veggies in there, put some bell peppers in there, doctor it up for yourself. And then an avocado.
Okay.
Yum.
Half an avocado.
Okay. And
maybe something like that.
And that's your pre-workout.
Yeah. So that would be a meal that, that I would eat about an hour out. And, so both are fine. It takes it. I feel like for me, some guys can eat like 30 minutes and then go work out. I actually kind of like that. Me either, man. It's just like too much. I like to have almost like a really flat feeling stomach, but not too far out. So maybe like at least an hour out, I'll go to the gym. And so by the time I hit the gym, it's about an hour and a half, and I can go like pretty hard.
Wow.
For post workout, my all time favorite one would be a sweet potato with some very lean chili. I like bison. Bison is actually pretty lean if you can get it. And then, a nice salad. That is my all-time favorite one. It's an easy one that you can make, and it's a baked sweet potato. And if you can't find that, or you want to get some, or like you want to do something else, you can try plantain. Plantain is also a really good one to add that good muscle weight on you.
Yeah. And then do you add a protein shake to that as well for your post-workout?
Okay, so immediately after working out, I will have an isolate whey protein shake with 0 grams carbs, sugar, and fat. And then about 30 to 45 minutes later, that's when I have my meal.
Okay, gotcha. That sounds good, man.
That sounds tasty.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, is it my turn now?
Yeah, you can. I'll let Lynn talk.
To Kevin
Sorry.
Now? Oh my gosh.
What is going on, Lynn?
This is amazing. No, actually, you just going through how long it takes you for videos made me feel, I felt a little bit bad for you, but it actually made me feel a little bit good because honestly, I scroll through, I watch your videos or look at your food, and then I look at my food, and then I look at your food, and I look at my food, and I always just think, why doesn't my food look good like his food looks? So it makes it feel a little better. I didn't realize how much work went into that. So.
It's all good.
Okay. So my biggest question for you, the reason why I love your page, for many reasons, but the reason why I love your recipes and everything is because I am a foodie, but I am obviously in the fitness industry, and I feel like sometimes those things clash, and a lot of what I see is just this boring chicken and broccoli, which I cannot choke down. Like I just can't do it. But the biggest complaint that I get from my clients is that eating healthy is just too expensive.
Right.
And I have my answers to that, but I would love to hear what you tell people when they approach you with that as a barrier to them eating healthier.
I always ask them why. Or like how, and usually they're talking about some type of like prepackaged like meal. They'll talk about like a green juice that costs $9. They'll talk about a salad that costs this much, and I'm like, well, that's because you're buying it from the store, But if you buy like processed stuff from the store, it is going to be cheaper just because it's not even like real food. You aren't buying real food, so they can't charge you real food prices. Now, what I found out, when people talk about expensive, is that what I'm hearing, or like what I've come to learn, is that they mean that in time, that it costs them too much time actually go ahead and do it. But so my main goal is actually a lot of times showing people how quick, easy, and practical it is. So it's not too costly to eat healthy. It's actually cheaper for you. You just have to know how to go ahead and prepare foods in better ways, but also simultaneously. So that way you can shave off the time like in the kitchen.
Yeah, I love that. And I mean, I know for me, and you mentioned briefly about meal prep. I know for me, I can show that when I prep my food in bulk, making larger portion, maybe meat to use throughout the next several days and different things, I actually save money especially versus eating out, even when eating out can be really cheap.
Yeah,
but you could save a lot of money.
Yeah.
One thing that that I don't talk about is that when I went off to grad school, I lost my job in 2008, so I had to move back home like with my parents, and it was just one of those really trying times. And it was one of the times too where I just began to start gaining weight and whatnot. So I was really trying to get my diet together, and I literally went up there to go get financial assistance because I could qualify for it, and got my food stamps. So I had my food stamps because I had zero job, at the time. And if I could make it work, about $60 a week, going up and just kind of being like creative and making those choices and going to Costco's and Sam's Clubs and Walmart Market, and whatnot, then people can too. I think what the problem is also is that, and there's some truth to this, is that the whole marketing behind healthy eating is about organic and non-GMO, yada yada, and so when the marketing is behind that, they put a premium price tag on there. So people are like, Kevin, can I still eat healthy if I don't buy organic? Let me tell them, yes, you can. You don't have to always buy that type of stuff, and so then it is much more like affordable to them. But I'll tell you this, I've made $60 work over at Whole Foods, which is
wow,
$60 meal prep.
Yeah. Really, at Whole Foods? So like you bought two things, or?
Yes, and I actually have the video, and I have the video about it too, but I never released it. So maybe in the future I will. But
you should.
I love that.
$6 over at Whole Foods.
Okay, since the nickname for Whole Foods, as we know, is Whole Paycheck, I got to see that video.
You got to send us that video, because I was watching your videos yesterday and I saw the one where you did $75 meal prep for 5 days, 5 meals for 5 days, for $75, right? Yeah. And you have the whole grocery list, you have all the recipes to make for it, and I loved that, and that's actually one of your most popular videos, right? Yeah. People love that because that kind of shows them that it doesn't have to be expensive. You don't have to go to Whole Foods if you don't want to and buy the organic, non-GMO, gluten-free, all these fancy things.
Kids are eating this food type of thing. Yeah, right.
Yeah, so I think that's great what you do, and that's a great answer, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I love that you focused on that too, because we get that question a lot about non-GMO, organic foods, and we like to focus on and telling our clients, do the best you can with what you have.
Absolutely.
And a lot of times, if it's not within your budget to buy organic or non-GMO, that's okay. To tell you the truth, I don't normally buy that. Normally, I look at, the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15, which is just a list of the fruits and vegetables that are the cleanest or the dirtiest as far as pesticides. And if possible, I try to buy organic when it comes to the Dirty Dozen. But again, it's doing the best with what you can. And another really great tip that I want to leave with the listeners on this subject is, I remember, because I'm such a foodie, that I even used that excuse one time. Eating healthy is just too expensive. And I can't remember who it was, but a friend looked at me and laughed. And she's like, you know what? At least once a week, you'll go out to eat at a restaurant with you and your spouse, and you'll blow at least $60 on a really good meal. And yet you can't spend $100 for a whole week of groceries and skip eating out that one night in order to be healthy. And I just looked at them like, shit.
Yeah.
What do I say to this?
Set match. Put a fork in her, she's done.
I know, dang it.
The truth hurts sometimes.
I know. Yeah. And another thing that I think is hard in this industry, so going into my next question about food, is I felt like when I first came into this industry, I was so confused because there's so many diets, like people saying you have to be vegan, you have to be paleo, you have to be Atkins. And what would you consider if somebody were to ask, do your recipes fall into a certain type of eating, such as like paleo or vegan or Atkins? What do you think your recipes fall into? Do you follow a certain diet regimen?
No, I don't. And actually, that's pretty deliberate. I want the people who follow paleo to make the recipe paleo. I want the people who are vegan to make it vegan. I want the people who are trying to do like vegetarian do that. So I just put out generic ideas. That's the main thing that I always tell my partners too when I work with them is that, like, you know, if you walk away from here and just think that I'm giving you recipes, then you're missing the bigger picture. What I'm trying to do to with like Fit Men Cook is to give people ideas and healthy, practical ideas, so that way they can have a sustained living. Because a recipe has a shelf life. It'll go away. But if I can teach you just the way to kind of put foods together and to pair them, then you can live on for the rest of your life. So I really don't try to make things like paleo or vegan Atkins yet. Well, sometimes vegan, just because I have to reach out to that community. But plus, if you're out there and you are struggling to find healthy recipes and whatnot, I say go get yourself a vegan cookbook. And here's the reason why. Vegan cooking is some of the most creative cooking on the planet, because they've got to be hella creative in what so if you want to find out how to pair foods together, get a vegan cookbook and then just slap a chicken breast on top of it.
Oh my God.
That's actually a very good point, man.
Exactly
that's so true, because we've been to some vegan restaurants before, and like these chefs are creating these things you've never heard of with these different combinations because there's no meat to work with.
But then I laugh because I'm totally with Kevin on this, because I remember one time I was like, oh, this is actually pretty good. I wish I had a steak on it.
Put a steak right on top. That's right.
On top of that.
Yeah.
I am.
No, I love that I love that you show more balanced type of foods too. Because I know for me, for example, I found that cutting out anything, specifically, people are like, you can't have gluten, or you can't have meat, or you can't have, you can't have carbs, you can't have bread. That for me at least, if I cut out a specific food group, I go crazy and I do awful. So I like how you show that you don't necessarily have to cut anything out, and you could still create healthy, balanced meals. So I really like that about your site. So Fit Men Cook. So I'm guessing you have a lot of male followers. I only work with women because I'm a women's fitness specialist. How do you try to appeal to women for your brand and your blog? Or do you feel like because it's recipes, you naturally appeal to women?
The latter. I naturally appeal to women. So
he's like, I naturally appeal to women.
Yep.
Here's the thing about the, what we've learned is that it's about 60-40, 60% male, 40% female. But males, by and large, we will consume content but not engage. All right. Females actually are like the number one driver of the Fit Men Cook community, because y'all are tagging people, you're chatting with your girlfriends. We're gonna make this for girls' night. You're tagging your husbands and your boyfriends, everybody, and you're telling people. So women actually help to drive the momentum behind the blog. So
women get stuff done.
Hey, I appreciate it. Get stuff done.
I love that. Yeah. Now, I have just a random question. What do your workouts look like? I mean, all you do is post food, but do you mentioned that after you eat breakfast and you have your pre-workout or whatever, you have a fitness buddy. What do you do for your workouts?
Yeah, it's much more of a traditional kind of like bodybuilding like routine, in terms of like we focus on body parts for every day. So we work about 5 times a week. Actually, about four times a week, actually. And we'll focus on like a different body part. But we've actually got the Tough Mudder coming up. And so I'm going back to my old days when I got really in shape, and I was doing a lot of these HIIT routines from my MMA training days. And so I think I'm going to start going more like into that, because I do not want to end up as one of those memes on the internet because I slipped on the Tough Mudder slide or something crazy like that. So
wait, I didn't know you had a background in MMA.
Oh, no, I don't. I was one of those fake, I would like watch the videos, and then I would also go to like little training gyms and get tips and tricks here and there.
Gotcha.
But I would never call myself a mixed martial artist, just because the people that actually do it, they would. Yeah.
I get it. No, I totally understand, man. That's interesting. You'll have to post some videos and pictures of the Tough Mudder. We've done one before and actually enjoyed it. It was actually pretty cool, but you do have to implement some running.
I didn't really enjoy it.
No, Linda, you did the Spartan. She didn't really
I
like
did
the Spartan.
And I probably am on some type of horrible meme, and I about died.
That's the thing I don't want to happen. I don't want to end up as a meme.
Yeah. So I mean, for that, I remember having to implement some running again. Just because is it 12 miles? Is that how long Tough Mudder is?
Oh God, I hope not. I think it's like
ours was 12 miles.
Yeah, ours was 12.
Yeah.
Have you even looked?
I can check. I gotta go. Now you're getting
surprise.
Miles. It should only take about like like a 5K or so.
Nope.
I think that's the Warrior Dash.
Yeah, dude, you're
so you might want to look it up. I mean, mine was 12 miles.
You do something different. Okay, I gotta look this up now. You actually I'm like on the internet right now.
Yeah.
Cancel. No, I'm just kidding. That's funny, dude. So really quick, Kevin, we had some other quick questions we wanted to ask you, which we do to all of our people we have on the show, and they're just kind of funny questions.
We basically do a lightning round of mini questions that really have no relevance that we want to know, and we give you no time to think about it. You have to answer as quickly as possible, and they may be a little bit uncomfortable.
Okay,
Are
so
you
like
ready?
butts or briefs, something like that?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, are you ready?
Okay, yes.
Okay. Does being such a good cook help you with the ladies?
Yes.
How so? Do you do like, come over to my house and I'll cook you a nice dinner?
No.
Is that like a pickup line you use?
But
Tell me the
it's usually
truth.
out of state. I wish they were much more like in state or in here in Dallas. But all of my relationships have actually happened out of state, which I do not like at all.
Oh, dang. Long distance don't like this.
So put that out there in Dallas. Hit me up.
Ladies, if you're listening, Dallas.
Kevin is good looking and he can cook. Find him on his page.
Appreciate that.
Mention this podcast. All right, what's your most embarrassing moment?
and be honest.
And be honest. I don't want you thinking, which embarrassing moment am I willing to tell? I want you to really answer this.
All right. So I went to this conference and I got really touched, and it was in front of like 500 people. And oh God, I can't even talk about it now. I'm
you got it.
Embarrassed. Okay.
You have to now.
So it's in front of this auditorium. They asked me to go up on stage and just say like a few words of what the conference actually meant, and I cried on the mic in front of 500 people. And I was just like, I just never can live this down. And to this day, I'm like, I can just take that moment back. No, but it wasn't like one of those like, just
cute
go for your dreams and stuff. It was like, those ugly cries, like when your face kind of torts up. It was embarrassing.
Is that on YouTube somewhere, like a video we could find?
Someone out there has recorded that. Please do not post that video.
If somebody has recorded that, please send me the link so that we can put it in the show notes. Thank you.
People are going to be looking for that online now. Hey, everybody ugly cries at some point in time, man. Just not always in front of 500 people.
Girls like that. That's like not even an embarrassing moment.
I didn't get one date after that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's messed up. You must have had like a lot of snot or something. I don't know. That's just abnormal. All right. Next question. Favorite cheat meal? Favorite dessert cheat meal? Or
Sure. It'd probably be waffles, but I'm a huge, like I used to go to to IHOP a lot and on Saturdays and get like the really big ones with like the cream and the chocolate chips, and then put the syrup on top. So that's one of them. The other one would be a really greasy burger with some very, very, very salty fries.
Yeah. I actually want to throw in a couple more questions because this kind of brought up some other questions. Do you feel like there's a lot of pressure for you to eat a certain way out in public?
Yes.
Like you're worried, oh, that's the Fit Man Cook guy. Look, he's eating a greasy burger and fries. And let me take a picture.
Yeah, that it's actually happened, a few times here in Dallas, and I've just had to just, whatever. But now it doesn't bother me as much, just because I'm actually happy if people kind of see me out doing my own thing, just because I am a human being and I do enjoy like my treat meals. And I think, again, just like my blog, there is a balance in life.
Yeah.
I was out at the bar with a buddy of mine having this fat-free, natural, organic, non-GMO cocktail.
Of course.
Oh,
said, hey, Fit Man Cook's in the house at the bar.
Yeah.
To get on Twitter with me. So, but it was fine. It didn't really bother me, just because, again, it's all about balance. I'm not getting out here and going wasted and, overdoing it, but I'm going to enjoy my life, and I want you to enjoy yours, and you can have a healthy, balanced lifestyle. Again, remember, I am far removed from the day of becoming a fitness model.
Yes.
That's not my definition of what being healthy is.
Well,
Gotcha.
it's good because you're also more relatable. Honestly, when I see people like that, because it's more rare to see somebody well known in the fitness industry that does go out for cocktails here and there and that is eating, waffles with syrup on it. I love it because I'm like, look, they could be healthy and in good shape and eat like a normal human being.
Correct.
Yeah, so, some of my most popular posts are when I post like me eating a cheat meal. Like that's what people love.
Like those.
Yeah,
those immediately. I like those.
exactly.
I love that.
Okay, next couple questions. What's the biggest complaint or flack you get from your followers that your followers kind of tell you
About my content?
Yeah, about your content, about your videos, about anything. What's the biggest complaint, flack, or criticism you get?
There's not one singular one, actually.
Okay.
Right now, it's actually about my app, and it's from the Android community. So, we launched the app back in May, and it's doing very well. It did very well. It's been the number one app in food and drink. It is number one in like 51 countries,
Congrats.
and it's number 2 in the overall app store. So it's doing very, very well. But we haven't been able to take it over to Android. So I get like a nasty email or like comment about every other day now about the darn Android app and when it's coming out. Before people would you know what? People always ask me, what's in it? Which is a really weird and odd question. Like, what's in, like, where's the recipe? People will look at the photo, but they'll never read. So that was
I love that comment when you post a full recipe and people are like, can you please share the recipe? And you're like, please read above.
It's like, leave me alone. You don't know how long this took just to make this darn video. If you want to ask me for the recipe, read the post. In fact, you're blocked. You're blocked.
I was going to say, like, my favorite thing is when I see awesome recipes like yours and then somebody comments and you have, like over 1 million followers and somebody comments like, my name is Susie and I am allergic to gluten and dairy and I am a vegan and I'm an all naturalist and I only eat organic. Can you tell me how to alter this recipe to fit my
Just
needs?
drink water.
That would be great.
Drink water.
So funny, man.
A lot.
Okay, last question, Kevin. We'll let you go.
Boxers or briefs? I'm just kidding.
No.
I'm totally kidding. Okay.
No, if someone were to pay you, would you ever do a fit to fat to fit journey on purpose? If someone were to pay you, and what would that dollar amount have to be? Just curious.
Yeah.
to do 75 pounds on purpose.
Oh my gosh, it would have to be pretty high.
Okay.
And only because of the place where I'm in right now, like it would be hard. Like my Fit Man Cook Like Recipe blog, that's like actually like my lifestyle, right? So people are actually getting recipes that I'm eating on a weekly basis. And so to shut it down for that period of time and to do that, it would just be, it'd be kind of hard to go ahead and do. But gosh, you know what, man, I just admire you so much for that. In fact, I told you when I first met you, I was so angry. I was so angry because you looked great and you look great now, of course. But when you said that you were going to do that, I'm like, why would he want to go and look like me right now? Like why? And I was so angry, but I was still watching along. But I was a hater from outside. This guy. But then when you started losing weight, I would go back and do exactly like what you were doing because there's just so like anxiety there. And so even though I know the algorithm for me to actually go and lose weight and to get shredded up, it's funny, I still have a lot of anxiety of going back to that place.
Yeah. No, and that's the thing. I don't ask people on a serious level, but I think it's interesting to see if someone, do you think you could really do it? And I've asked Chris Powell, Heidi Powell, and all of them said no. So you're not any different than anybody else. I was like, hell no. So,
I don't know. Somebody gave me $1 million, I would do it.
$1 million?
Like
Yeah, I think that's doable.
And my boxer briefs with my belly hanging out.
And you could change your brand. You could change your brand. Exactly. Then you share all these cheat meal recipes for 6 months, and the people you'll have
more
followers.
You'll have like 5 million viewers. You'll be like,
this is how to gain weight.
I'm making French toast.
Yeah, this is how to gain weight. This is how to gain fat.
Ooh, yeah. Bacon-filled French toast.
It's interesting. Well, cool, Kevin. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Yeah,
can you tell everybody where to follow you, the name of the app, the name of your book, everything about you? Just kind of tell people, point them in the right direction.
Sure. You know what? My largest platform is going to be Instagram, so they can go to instagram.com/fitmencook. But really, you can find me anywhere and just type in FitMenCook. And my recipes are there, like on the blog at fitmencook.com. I got my YouTube channel, FitMenCook, Twitter, and you know what? Snapchat. I really love Snapchat because I don't just...
Are you on Snapchat?
Yeah, I love...
Oh, I got to start following you, man.
Oh, yeah.
Dude,
man.
I tagged you before we started
on
my Snapchat. I did. Well, I just put, I'm about to snap with at FitMenCook. So hopefully that's your Snapchat handle.
Yeah, I love
Snapchat
because I'm able to actually share stuff that's just not just food, just like my everyday life. And then the app, get the app. If you have an iPhone or an iPad or the Apple Watch, you can download it from the Apple Store. And we're actually coming out with a version 2.0 in November that is going to be game changing. And Apple is so excited about the app. Oh, they're so excited about it because the day that it launched, it like, they were like, who and what in the world is FitMenCook? Because it was taking over literally the entire like app store. And it just goes to show that there are so many people out there that are excited about healthy eating because it wasn't just our community. It was like the general public. So it's a really good app, and I'm very proud of it, actually. So go to the Apple Store if you can and download it. And version 2.0 coming in November. You'll want to get this one before that version comes out. And then my book is my recipe book. Those are some of the most popular recipes that I shared in 2014. It's called No Cheats Needed, and you can go to Amazon.com to get that. So
that's awesome, man. And just really quick, I love your app so much, dude, and thank you so much for hooking us up with that.
Oh, thank you.
What was funny though is as we promoted it to our followers, because it's so convenient. I love, like, one of the best features about it, and I talked about this, was being able to pick a recipe and have it download to your shopping cart. That specific recipe would go to your shopping list. Your shopping list. It would show what the shopping list was, cool. And I thought that was like the coolest feature I've ever seen. But then my followers are like, "Wow, thanks, Drew, for this." Like, they were like, "I don't need you anymore." Like, I got Kevin. I'm like, "Come on, people! I like don't you can still love both of us, But people loved it so much, And so I can't wait for the new version to come out. You said November, right?
It's gonna come out.
Awesome.
2.0.
Okay,
awesome.
Thank you.
And I'm gonna start following you on Snapchat too. By the way, I just.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna follow you as well.
Yeah, I just learned it like 3 weeks ago. I think after moving here to Hawaii. And at first I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, but now I actually enjoy it.
No one knows what they're doing on Snapchat.
Exactly, and that's why it's so easy to do. You can just post anything. And nobody.
And there's no there's no filters or editing,
Oh, no.
So
it's great.
Well, thanks so much, Kevin, for being a part of the show. We'll have to have you back on as well in the near future, man. And go check out fitmencook.com, everybody, and we'll catch you guys next time. We'll see you, Kevin.
All right, thank you. Ciao.
Thank you guys so much for listening to today's episode. We really hope that you will subscribe to our newsletters on fittofattofit.com and tofitatHome.com to keep in touch with us, to know the latest about where we're at, what we're doing these days, and to stay in touch to know what the latest things going on in our lives are.
And make sure to subscribe to us on iTunes, you guys, and leave some comments. Leave your review. Let us know what you thought of the show. If you had any questions, write down if there's certain topics or people you'd like to have on. We review those and we read them, and it gives us the insight we need to make sure that these episodes are for you and that they're quality.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for being a part of our family and to listening to the Fit to Fat to Fit Experience podcast. And please share it with your friends, and we will see you guys next time.
Aloha.
Aloha.